Unit Religion, Paper 4, A-Level Sociology. As you all know, Paper 4 offers us three different units. We have religion, we have media, and we have globalization. Out of these three different units, we're expected to study any two. Out of these two units that we'd be studying, we have religion and media that I'd be teaching over here. When we talk about religion, if you have a look at the syllabus breakdown of religion, this is how the CI has shown us. 11.1, religion and society. Moving on, 11.2, we have religion and social order. Taking it ahead, if we talk about 11.3, we have, here you go, 11.3, we have religion as a source of social change. 12.1, we have the secularization debate. 12.2, we have gender feminism and religion. And finally, 12.3, we have religion and postmodernity. So for today, this being the first lesson, we would start off with religion and society, where we'd initially talk about the ways of defining religion and difficulties in measuring religious beliefs. So these are the two topics that we are to cover in this lesson today. Taking a start here, let's refer to this as lesson 1. Now, the first and the foremost thing, ways of defining religion. Let's take a start from here. Now, when we talk about religion, think of what comes in your mind. What is religion to you? Ask yourself, what is religion to you? Of course, what meaning you give to religion might be different from the meaning someone out in another part of the world might be giving meaning to what religion is or constitutes of. The significance you give to religion today might be different from the significance someone else sitting in some other corner of the world might be giving religion to. Now, we need to be careful. We need to be, we need to understand that whatever our understanding of religion is, it is based on multiple factors. It isn't as simple as it looks like, because religion for me, if I talk about myself, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I am a Muslim, right? Religion for me has a very different meaning as compared to how religion is seen by or dealt by people across the globe. So, and another important thing that we all need to keep in mind, that is, of course, the way we're seeing religion might not be seen by someone else, and like I keep on saying, some other part of the world, right? Religion को जो हम मायना दे रहे हैं, religion शायद किसी और तरीके से लोग उसको देखते हो, ठीक है? तो do we have any unanimous agreement on what religion constitutes of globally? Question mark. Is there any sort of disagreement on what people think religion is, right? Two, is religion, or how easy is it for us to be able to figure out uh, how easy is it for us to be able to figure out the agreements and the disagreements on what religion constitutes of, or what religion ideally should be constituting of, right? Is it a clear-cut borderline between the religious and non-religious phenomenon, right? Likewise, when we talk about religion, one of the popular topics people usually bring in is religion experiencing a decline? Kya society se religion kam hota ja raha hai? But for us to be able to figure out what and the extent to which, and if religion is losing its significance in our society, we need to be first sure about what religion constitutes of, not about how I feel or what my idea is about religion, about how people see it globally, right? Many people see religion or try measuring religion through religious beliefs. But then again, what are religious beliefs? So there are so many things that you as a sociology student would be learning about, and this would very clearly enhance your understanding of how people across the globe see religion. Of course, the syllabus that we're studying this is set up by people out in the West, so there'd be more of emphasis on what happens in the Western world. We'd be talking about Christianity more. We talk about different religious organizations within Christianity, starting off with church, sects. We talk about denominations. We talk about cults. Taking a start here. Now, what all needs to be kept in mind? Number one, we need to be careful. We need to remind ourselves that there is religious diversity. Number two, is there any clear cut boundary between the religious and the non-religious phenomena? Are there any issues involved in defining religion? The difficulties we'll face or we do face in measuring religious beliefs. We'd be exploring different types of religious organizations. For instance, we talk about churches, we talk about denominations, we talk about sects, and we'd be talking about cults. Taking this a step ahead, now the first thing, is it easy to define religion? Question mark. If we have a look at religions such as Islam, Christianity, Judaism, they carry belief system, right? They carry a belief system. Belief system हम किस चीज को कहते हैं? A set of ideas that is held by individuals or particular groups that help them to interpret and make sense of the world, right? Up these different religions that I just named, let me talk in terms of belief systems over here. If we talk about these belief systems, अगर हम इन belief systems की बात करते हैं, तो आपके पास कुछ ऐसे religions हैं such as Islam, such as Christianity, such as Judaism. ये ये religions वो हैं जो एक particular belief system की basis पे built हैं, ठीक है? Taking it this ahead, these different religions over here, they all have their different set of beliefs. They have their own different set of beliefs. They have their own different set of values. They have their own different set of practices. Their own set of rituals. Their own set of symbols. However, like I had initially said, आपके पास इतनी religious diversity है, आपके पास इतने अलग अलग तरह के मजहब हैं कि it might not be easy for you to be able to take into account the diversity part and at the same time easily be able to distinguish the distinguish between the religious and non-religious phenomenon. For instance, astrology for many people is important. Fortune telling, many people consider that pretty important too. So we need to keep this in mind that the rich and diverse nature of religion makes it difficult for us to be able to define what religion actually constitutes of. Or, like I had initially said, it is not easy for us to unanimously agree upon or come up with a unanimous definition of what religion constitutes of, keeping in mind that there are different people carrying different beliefs, different values, practicing religion in their own way across the globe. तो हमारे लिए ये आसान नहीं है कि हम एक unanimously agreed upon definition religion की लेके आए जिसे globally accept किया जाए, right? जिसे globally accept किया जाए. Of course, to put this in a simpler manner, if you talk about people in Pakistan, we exactly know what religion is. But then again, what we talk about as being religion is religion for us, might not be religion for someone else. Likewise, there are people in other parts of the world, what they probably think religion is might not be accepted by us. We all need to keep this in mind. Now, taking this a step ahead, talking about the different definitions of religion, the different sociological definitions of religion can be broadly divided into three different categories. So let's make it like this. Let's talk about the types of definitions of religion. अगर हम इसे broadly categorize करें तो हमारे पास तीन मुख्तलिफ definitions हैं जिसको हम लोग discuss करेंगे. Number one, we'd start off with substantive definitions. Number two, we talk about functional definitions. Number three, we talk about the social constructionist approach. Now, we are categorizing the different definitions of religion. We're putting them into three main categories over here. The first one, like I said, we refer to this as the substantive definition. The second one, we refer to this as the functional definition. And the third one is the social constructionist approach. So of course, we'd start off with the substantive definition, and then we'd further move on towards the functional definition and the social constructionist approach. Substantive definition. Now, when we talk about the substantive definition, what has to be kept in mind over here is, as the name suggests, substantive, this focuses on substance, or in other words, the content of religion. This particular definition of religion is more concerned about what religion is. So this is concerned about what religion is and not on what religion does. I hope that's clear. We're talking about the substantive definition of religion. Substantive definitions, they focus on the substance or content of religion. They're more concerned with what religion is rather than what religion does for individuals, right? Now, if we take this particular definition, keeping this particular definition in our mind, and if we take a step ahead, a substantive definition, for example, might define religion in terms of beliefs in the supernatural, right? This is again an example. हम आगे एक example को लेके चलते हैं. Let me grab the red pen again. If we talk in terms of an example over here, if this substantive definition of religion, if it is focusing on the belief in the supernatural, a belief in divine forces, belief in powers or spiritual beings, right? Such as God, right? For monotheistic religion, right? Or such as gods for polytheistic religions. Uh, they believe in the supernaturals. Let me just write down more so that this could help you in making notes for yourselves. In divine forces and there being divine power, there being spiritual beings, in God for monotheistic religions like Islam, or you could say gods for polytheistic religions such as Christianity, and laws of nature. See, for a Muslim, all of this does make sense, right? Belief in supernatural, belief in divine forces, power, spiritual beings, God, and laws of nature. However, Hamilton argues against this. According to Hamilton, if we keep in mind religions such as Buddhism, right? Buddhism doesn't necessarily include a belief in supernatural powers. अगर Buddhism supernatural powers पे believe नहीं कर रहे Buddhists, तो don't you think आपके पास ये particular definition जो कि more or less हमारे लिए सही है, this might not work out well for Buddhists, right? So let's write this down. We could use the example of Buddhism over here. Now, this was the first definition that we spoke about, the substantive definition of religion. We picked it up from here. To remind you all, we are talking about the different ways through which we can define religion. We started off with substantive definition. Taking this ahead, if we talk about the functional definition of religion, Now, functional definition of religion आपकी किस चीज पे बिलीव करती है? जब हम functional definition की बात करते हैं तो they focus on the functions of religion and not the content. Their focus is on functions religions perform. They are not focused, they're not interested in, or they do not usually refer to the content on which a particular religion is based or the substance of it, right? दो अलग अलग तरह की definitions की बात कर रहे हैं. पहले हमने बात की substantive definition की, अब हम बात कर रहे हैं functional definition of religion की. So the functional definitions of religion, they focus on the functions or roles of religion, what religion does rather than what it is. So the focus is on the functions religion perform, or like I said, what religion does. And not on what religion is. Substance, or we could say the content. If that helps you understand this better. Now, function definitions, they view religion in terms of the functions or roles it performs for individual or society. They focus on what religion does rather than what it is, according to Hamilton again. Just write down this name over here. According to Younger, for example, adopted a functional definition of religion as a system of beliefs and practices by means of which a group of people struggle with the ultimate problems of human life. Now, according to Younger, he adopted a functional definition of religion, right? Taking this ahead, another sociologist that we're bringing in over here, Younger in 1970s, he adopted a functional definition of religion. According to Younger again, religion is a system of beliefs and practices by means of which a group of people struggle with the ultimate problems of human life, a system of beliefs and practices that is used by people who struggle with the ultimate problems of human life. Now, this is how Younger defines religion. But then, according to Hamilton, this definition again has certain problems. Now, Hamilton highlights certain problems over here. Number one, according to Hamilton, this particular definition, it is too broad. I'll tell you what this means. Now, for instance, By this definition, a political belief system such as communism could be seen as a religion because of the function it performs. अब अगर हम थोड़ा गौर करते हैं, अगर हम इस definition को दोबारा एक नजर देखते हैं, a system of beliefs and practices that is used by people who struggle with the ultimate problems of human life. So don't you think political systems such as communism, it could be seen as a religion by many? I mean, is it a religion? Question mark. No, communism is typically a political belief system. लेकिन अगर हम इस particular definition को follow करते हैं, तो इस definition के हिसाब से तो even communism does meet the criteria of being called a religion, right? So, talking about the problems that Hamilton identified. First, according to Hamilton, this particular definition, it is too broad of a definition. Like communism is a political belief system. And not a religion. However, according to the functional definition, it might be confused as a religion. Now, the first problem here. Moving on, having a look at the second problem. Second problem with what? Second problem with the way Junger was defining what religion is. Now, second phrases such as ultimate problems of human life are open to interpretation, right? Ultimate problems of human life. What might be an ultimate problem for human life for one might not be considered an ultimate problem of human life for another, right? I think that's pretty simple. It's pretty self-explanatory. Phrases such as the ultimate problems of human life are open to interpretation. Hamilton points out that for many people, the ultimate problems of life might be simply how to enjoy it as much as possible, or how to avoid pain, or how to ensure pleasure. Many other aspects of social life apart from religion address such issues as well. For instance, medicine. Medicine might help people avoid pain. Leisure activities might ensure someone is enjoying life or ensure that someone is experiencing pleasure, encountering pleasure. So this particular definition is open to, or this particular notion of catering to the ultimate problems of human life might vary from person to person. Let's take it ahead. If it is to avoid pain, which might be a problem for many, this can be done through medicine as well. Or experiencing pleasure, this could be done through leisure activities. If you've all understood it so far we were discussing the different definitions of religion. We were talking about different categories over here. We started off with the substantive definition, and then we moved on towards the functional definitions of religion. To remind you all, the substantive definition focuses more on the substance, the content of religion, what religion is, what religion actually constitutes of. However, the functional definition, this focuses more on what religion does do, or what religion does, or the functions it performs, and not on the substance or the content of religion. So this functional definition focuses more on the functionality of religion, or this functional religion focuses more on what religion does for the individuals and society. Now, taking this a step ahead, moving on, let's talk about Aldridge over here. Aldrich further categorizes these definitions of religions into inclusive and exclusive definitions. The inclusive definition of religion and the exclusive definition of religion. अब ये inclusive definition of religion और exclusive definition of religion है क्या? According to Alan Aldridge in 2007, who distinguishes between inclusive definitions of religion and exclusive definitions of religion. अब inclusive definitions की जब हम बात करते हैं, let me write this down over here. Let me put this into a bigger box so that there's no confusion ahead. Now, according to Aldridge, these what's supposed to be these inclusive definitions they include traditional religions. At the same time, they, I mean, many people see this as a problem, but they also include or have the potential of including other belief systems too. For instance, nationalism, or communism, or humanism. Now, with inclusive definitions, it is relatively easy for a belief system to qualify as a religion, which he's making a lot of sense here. According to him, अगर हम religion की ये inclusive approach को देखते हैं, तो it is relatively easy for a belief system to qualify as a religion. Something as simple as your devotion towards a particular soccer team, or your loyalty towards a particular rock band, or the extent to which you are patriotic might eventually be considered religion too, according to this definition. Keeping that in mind, if we, I think I just see if I have some space over here. So yeah, one potential problem with using broad definitions is that they would result in religion being found everywhere, right? इससे problem क्या होगी हमें? almost everything or anything meeting the criteria of religion, which would lead to religion being found everywhere. Now, moving on, if we talk about this exclusive definition of religion, okay, let me just pick this up from here so that we could. Okay, I think it's fitting over here quite well. So yeah, we're focusing on the exclusive definition over here. So exclusive definition is narrower. The focus is on the content of religion. Just like the substantive definition. Now, one potential problem with using broad definitions is that they would result in religion being found everywhere. With narrower or exclusive definitions, the criteria are more restrictive. This has a more restrictive criteria. The focus is on the content of religion. For example, a belief in a supernatural power such as God or gods. God for monotheistic religions like Islam, Alhamdulillah, and gods for polytheistic religions. An example of polytheistic religions is Hinduism, right? Um, Generally, functional definitions tend to be more inclusive and substantive definitions tend to be more exclusive. Now, let me repeat what I just said. Generally, typically, usually, फंक्शनल डेफिनेशंस को हम कह सकते हैं कि वो ज्यादा इंक्लूसिव है। अब फंक्शनल डेफिनेशंस को हम ज्यादा इंक्लूसिव क्यों कह रहे हैं? क्योंकि अगर आप गौर करते हैं तो ये फंक्शनल डेफिनेशंस दे फोकस ऑन द फंक्शंस ऑफ रिलीजन, राइट? और ये फंक्शंस, so there are numerous institutions, there are numerous structures, there are numerous agencies that would probably performing these functions. So function definition को अक्सर link किया जाता है with this inclusive definition of religion, and at the same time जब आप बात करते हो exclusive definition of religions की, तो substantive definitions को link किया जाता है with exclusive definitions. I hope there's clarity there. Taking this ahead, moving on towards the third approach, let me remind you all, we were discussing the different types of types through which we could define what religion was. We initially spoke about substantive religions, number two, functional religions, substantive definitions, number two, function definitions, and the third one we have over here is social constructionist approach. Now, moving on towards this social constructionist approach. These social constructionist approaches, they are at times referred to as definitions in use. I'll tell you why we refer to them as definitions in use, according to Anthony Giddens and Sutton in 2013. Now, why is it that we're referring to them as the definitions in use? As James Beckford puts it, Beckford in 2003, for example, claims they focus on the uses that individuals, groups, and agencies such as the mass media, schools, and the state make of religion in everyday life. Now, what do they focus on? They focus on how religion is used or referred to by different individuals, different groups of individuals, different agencies. Now, these agencies could be your media, could be the education system, your state. How do these agencies, let me just mark this, how do these agencies make use of the word religion in everyday life? How is it that these different agencies, they make use of the word religion in everyday life? Now, research in this area explores what people say and mean when they talk about religion and participate in practices that they consider to be religious, right? What different individuals consider to be religious activity, right? A religious practice. What different agencies such as media, देखें हमें media word religion use करते हुए नजर आती है, हमें state word religion use करते हुए नजर आता है, हमें individuals word religion use करते हुए नजर आते हैं. This approach places more emphasis on whatever passes for religion in society and the meanings that people give to it, rather than on question about what religion is or what it does. तो जब हम बात करते हैं about what religion is, ये line मैंने आपको बताई थी, ये line हमने जिक्र किया था इस line का when we're talking about the substantive definition of religion. Right, and what religion does की जब हम बात करते हैं तो we were referring to the functional definition of religion. Instead of focusing on the functional definition of religion or the substantive definition of religion, this particular social constructionist approach, their emphasis is on whatever, let me just write this down, their emphasis is on whatever passes for religion in society. And the meaning that people give to it. And not on, and not on what religion is, that is the substantive definition, and what religion does. That is the functional definition. Not on this, not on this, and this is what they focus on. Now, a quick little recap of what we have discussed so far. So far, we have discussed the different ways through which religions could be defined. If I remind you about what all we have discussed so far, we have spoken about number one, the substantive definition of religion. We've spoken about the functional definition of religion. We've spoken about the inclusive definition of religion. We've spoken about the exclusive definition of religion. And we have had a look at the social constructionist approach of religion. Now, let's take this ahead and let me just show you the syllabus. Here you go. So this is what we have just discussed. Wait a second. This is what we've just discussed. And now we'd be discussing difficulties in measuring religious beliefs. So we're talking about the difficulties in measuring religious beliefs. Let's take a start over here. Yeah, difficulties in measuring religious beliefs. Sociologists are interested in examining the extent of religious beliefs in different societies and changes in religiosity. अब typically sociologists की जब हम बात करते हैं तो they are, you see them examining the extent of religious beliefs. किस हद तक religious beliefs societies may have. Bear this thing in mind. Always keep the different ways or the different types of definitions that we discussed over here in your mind. This could help you write down amazing conclusions, right? Now imagine, just imagine, आपके पास question आता है about let's just say anything, secularization. Secularization क्या है? Secularization is when societies experience a religious decline. आपसे सवाल किया जाता है कि society में से religion क्या कम हो रहा है या religion कम नहीं हो रहा, right? Don't you think if you add up towards the end, towards the conclusion, or towards this could help you come up with an amazing analysis. This would help you with analysis as well. अगर हम कहते हैं कि आपके पास, we cannot really be sure about what the extent to which religion is or is not declining in a particular society until and unless there is certainty about what religion is or how you're defining religion. देखें, like I said, secularization typically religion का society से कम होना, ठीक है? जब तक आपके पास मुत्तफिका तौर पे, जब तक आपके पास यूनानिमसली अग्रीड क्राइटेरिया नहीं है कि रिलीजन क्या है, तब तक आप कैसे कह सकते हैं कि रिलीजन सोसाइटी से कम हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा. फिर मूविंग ऑन, we're talking about how sociologists, they examine, sociologists, how they seem to be interested in the extent of religious beliefs. One, number two, you see them figuring out changes in religiosity. किस हद तक आपके पास religiosity के अंदर change आ रहा है या नहीं आ रहा over a period of time. However, there are difficulties in measuring levels of religious beliefs. Now, if we talk about these difficulties in measuring the levels of religious beliefs, sociologists, number one, they do not agree upon, there's, let's just say, no agreement on a single definition of religion. I'm writing this because I expect you all to write this. Number 2, beliefs differ between religions. Difference in beliefs between religions, for instance, आप compare कर सकते हैं, like we discussed earlier. You could compare Christianity with Buddhism here. अगर आपके पास beliefs यहाँ पे अलग अलग हैं, तो don't you think eventually आपके पास comparison would be very difficult? तो आपके पास कोई direct comparison ही नहीं हो सकता. Number 3, if you're talking about religiosity, अगर आप कह रहे हो religiosity बढ़ी है या religiosity society से कम हुई है, so don't you think for you to be able to comment on religiosity, you should have reliable evidence from the earlier periods, right? For instance, up, let me just write this down: historical comparison, or we could do this: historical data की authenticity is questionable. Right? क्या श्योरिटी आपके पास कि जो आपके पास पुराना डेटा है वो ऑथेंटिक है भी या नहीं है? Right? 1. Number 2, I mean number 4 now. Lack of availability. To allow comparisons. Local comparison फिर भी शायद आप कर पाएं. What about international comparisons? Right? I mean, there are some parts out in the West जो कि claim शायद करें कि उनके पास data है और वो data authentic है. लेकिन what about, I mean, there are so many other parts of the world जहाँ पे आपके पास literacy, numeracy बहुत बाद में आई है. तो how do you think you'd be even able to make comparisons over here? Number 5. The measures or the parameters of religiosity are open to criticism. कोई भी measure की आप बात कर लें. For instance, अगर हम यहाँ पे बात करते हैं about let's just say church attendance rate. तो church attendance, don't you think church attendance एक पैरामीटर है, एक ऐसा मेजर है जिसे लोग यूज करते हैं या लोग जिसे यूज किया जा सकता है to measure religiosity? But then again, what if someone is attending a church because of societal constraints, right? What if, I mean, you could be attending church because of your social background, you could be doing that because of your friends or because of any other reason. तो उसमें आप religiosity को कैसे measure कर सकते हैं? To put in a simple manner, कितने लोग आपको लगता है कि तरावियां पढ़ने जाते हैं सिर्फ just because they're expected to do so, right? Others may see themselves as religious and practice it in private. There's again a possibility of church attendance rate को as a parameter use कर रहे हैं. What if There are people who practice religion in private. How do you measure their religiosity? Or for the matter of fact, if you talk about Islam can, since typically you don't see women going to masjids to perform their namaz, how do you measure their religiosity then, right? Others may see themselves as religious and practice it in private without engaging in socially recognized religious practices, right? There's a possibility so many people might be religious, but they might be religious in their own way. They are probably not engaging themselves in any socially recognized religious practice or any ritual, right? They might not be attending a place of worship, but they might still be religious. So there's again a possibility there. Now, moving on, the sixth point, there's a difference between so there might be a difference between belonging to a particular religion and believing in it. Okay, I'm highlighting this. Have a look at this so that I explain this to you. So the difference between belonging to a particular religion and believing in it. Now there are so many people who belong to a particular religion, right? I mean, someone could be a Muslim by birth, someone could be a Christian by birth, but do they actually believe in it, right? So for now, we're talking about the difference between believing and belonging, right? You might be belonging to a particular religious group, but you might not be believing, or the other way around, right? There's a possibility that you might be believing in a particular religion and you do not even belong to it, right? So there may be differences between belonging to a religion, believing in its teachings. For example, many people profess a religious identity, right? But this could not necessarily provide a reliable guide to how many people in a society hold religious beliefs, right? Now, for instance, आप नादरा में जाते हैं अपना NIC बनवाने, तो they ask you about your religion, right? That shows you professing to a particular religious identity. This could be done through census records or any other measure, right? जहाँ पे आप अपना नाम, जहाँ पे आप let's say से खुद को क्रिश्चियन मानते हैं या खुद को आप मुस्लिम मानते हैं, लेकिन किस हद तक आप मुस्लिम टीचिंग्स को फॉलो कर रहे हैं, आप उन पे बिलीव करते हैं या नहीं करते, right? Taking this ahead, moving on. Up, how are you collecting data? How would you collect data when it comes to religiosity? Usage of, typically it's done through usage of social surveys, right? Social surveys are again an example of a self-report measure. And when you talk about a self-report measure, the extent to which, right? The extent to which people are actually honest and whatever the data is that they're providing to you, that gets questionable. क्या गारंटी है आपको कि लोग आपको सच्चा जवाब दे रहे हैं? क्या गारंटी है आपको, आपके पास के लोग आपको what do you call it, क्या गारंटी आपके पास के लोग आपको सही जवाब दे रहे हैं, सच्चा जवाब दे रहे हैं about them being religious or them not being religious? So usage of social surveys is again has its flaws. Let's make it like this. Flaws, and the flaw that in particular I'm referring to over here is how honest are people? Are people about accepting their religiosity or otherwise? Moving on. I mean, this could have different societal constraints as well. There are some societies that are more religious and you accepting or confessing that you're not religious, or you wouldn't want to attribute yourself to a particular religious identity, might not be acceptable in a particular society. So we do not know whether all respondents understand the terms beliefs. You talk about people, you talk about questioning people about their beliefs, right? आप लोगों से beliefs की बात कर रहे हो. How sure are you that everyone is giving the same meaning to what beliefs are? How sure are you that everyone is giving the same meaning to what religiosity is? How sure are you that everyone is giving the same meaning to the word faith, right? So now, since we were discussing the difficulties in measuring religious beliefs, we put them all and a few points over here, taking this ahead, a couple of other things that are worthy noting over here. When we talk about the social surveys in particular, these social surveys, they provide us with, here you go. So these social surveys, they provide us with quantitative data. Quantitative data helps us with comparisons. Quantitative data help us with correlations. They give us an idea about the changes in religiosity, if any. Bear this thing in mind, keep in mind, do not forget, I repeat, do not forget, there are differences. I mean, the flaws, they are there, like a few ones that we just discussed over here, right? But at the same time, you need to have some way or the other. You can't just say, oh, since we cannot have 100% answer to this, let's just let it be. You don't let it be, right? ठीक उसी तरीके से, I don't know if this analogy works or helps you understand better. No vaccine for COVID guarantees you 100% immunity. No, it does not, right? But just because you don't get 100%, right? उसी तरीके से, just because it's not as clear cut as we would have probably expected it to be, but then doesn't it all mean कि आप religiosity को study नहीं करेंगे? So quantitative data from attitude surveys are suitable for statistical analysis, right? They help us with statistical analysis. Statistical analysis, right? They make it possible to discover whether there's a correlation or for example, between belief in a god and a social class, right? For instance, हम कहते हैं कि जनाब आपके पास high classes के लोग, are they more religious as compared to the lower class people or the working class people? Question mark. So this statistical analysis, this could help us with this, right? A survey provides a broad snapshot, but different surveys can produce different pictures of religious beliefs. Again, different surveys could give us different surveys could be using different parameters of religiosity, and hence leading to a very different picture of religiosity, yeah, religious beliefs, even in the same society. Surveys about religious beliefs tell us little about other aspects of religion, such as the importance of religion in people's everyday life. I mean, they don't really tell us much. Like, to sum it up, they give us an idea about quantitative means, but qualitative aspects aren't really catered to well. So I hope this has given you a brief idea about the ways of defining religion, the different definitions of religion, and then we moved on towards difficulties in terms of measuring religiosity. I hope all of this has helped. Now, everyone is expected to make notes out of this, and we have deliberately written everything right in front of you so that, and it has been deliberately slower so that you can catch up with pace and you make notes and share. Take good care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.